Hello and welcome to a new version of Agile World. And this is Hot Topics. Hello, Karl. How are you doing?
Hello, Sabrina. You're looking particularly lovely today. You got a new skin regime. So it's a new Agile world. So I thought I'd be less confrontational and more nice.
Oh, okay.
Apparently,
okay.
nice people get on better with other people. I don't see it at work all that often, but I've heard of this.
About the other Karl, I did actually do a lovely face mask last night. It was like multicolored. I had a play there and a bit of pink stuff there and a bit of green stuff there.
Don't talk about face masks. That I was relaxing in an ice bath. My wife put a reindeer face mask on my face and then took a picture. So there's this horrific image on Facebook.
Don't worry, we'll post it in the chat later on so everybody can see.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
You're welcome. So we've got one of our good friends here. Hello, Mark. You're here for a special topic, our story points.
I am, Sabrina. Something that is causing a lot of problems across the Agile world.
Go for it. It is yours.
I want to start a debate why story points should be null and void going forward in the Agile world.
Oh, I didn't think you were going to say that. Whoa, hang on a minute.
Kill the points. Down with the points. Burn them to the ground.
Right. Yeah. Let's just get rid of them. Right.
So you want to go back to t-shirt sizing and just not have points?
Correct. I'm now getting articles written. I'm now getting emails sent that where most of the Agile methodologies moved into estimation, it was only just to keep a general number rolling. It was never going to be a contract between development and business to say this will be our deadline, right? And that's what it's becoming. Story points are now getting looked at as measurements of punishment almost. So if there is a negotiation between a delivery team and a solutions team, and it says we're going to do 5,000 story points in a year, and you don't achieve that, it doesn't take into context. It doesn't take in, yes, that was 3 points, but something happened, and it became 9 points or 12 points or 52 or whatever.
But doesn't this go back to the basis of points? Points go back to planning poker, which is about complexity. And I just remember when I first started doing development after doing that planning, people say, oh, we just use a point for a day. And I'm going, well, I don't understand the relationship between complexity and time, because complexity is an unknown.
So there's a really good set of articles out there now talking about ideal days. Right? An ideal day is when you get everything you said you would do done, right? And I think that keeps the generality of what we were doing with estimation. 96, 97, we tried t-shirt sizing, right? But it was only relative to ourselves. It wasn't relative to the outside world. And what's happening now, and certainly in the multi-teams that I deal with, teams have been punished for not being as good as the other team, right? Team A can do 150 story points a week. Why is Team B so rubbish?
But right? that's not the metric. The metric is, what are you delivering? I mean, who cares? I mean, it's a fake system. It's not really there to tell you anything valuable. I mean, only an accountant would be interested in it.
But this is the problem, right? Now that the business agility teams are getting stood up, they're asking for deadlines still, right? Instead of saying to your team, right, let's get what we can done in the time box. Now it's becoming, yeah, but you did 300 points last sprint. Why can't you do that again? Well, these tickets or issues are more complex.
Are they still thinking in projects instead of continuous delivery then?
Correct.
This is what frustrates me. I get what you're saying, because I'm on the opposite side of the fence. I am all for story points, but story points being implemented correctly. So where you're saying about the deadlines, they should be thinking deadlines. They should be thinking milestones. If they were planning correctly and they were planning ahead, if they can possibly, if these deadlines are technical milestones that they've got to hit. So if they're giving advance notice to the teams, they would be able to plan efficiently and size efficiently to be able to hit those deadlines, which are milestones.
See, this is the problem, right? So if you go through the SDLC in a waterfall mentality, right? You build your requirements, you get your designs, you do your delivery, you do your test, and you big bang a release, right? What we wanted to do, certainly in Scrum, is to have all those people in the same team, and somebody would raise a requirement, somebody would look at it from a test perspective, somebody would do it in a delivery, and all that team would do every day continuous integration, right? You would be ticket raised in the morning, tested in the afternoon, and launched in the evening, right? However, what's happening now is that we're going back to almost plan everything. Well, when we first started with Agile, we didn't want to plan anything. There was no plans. It was the opposite of plan driven, right? And certainly when you talk to the guys from the Agile Manifesto, we used to spend a year and a half planning, working out requirements, and then by the time it came to delivery, the business had moved on, and we ended up developing stuff that they never wanted.
Yeah.
So for me at the moment, story points are being used incorrectly. Completely agree with you, Sabrina. But what's happening now is we need to find an alternative, because once the business gets into their head, this team can produce 100 points per week. That becomes a metric that if you go below it, you're failing. And if you go above it, you get reward, right?
You know what? This is one thing I struggle with. So one, coaching people with story pointing, you're not just coaching them on understanding what story point is. You're not just coaching them on understanding to get them to think about the knowledge and complexity, but you're also completely trying to change their mindset. Because if you think from a very young age, we are taught with time. As a child, we are taught that we get up this time in the morning, it takes us this long to get ready for school, it takes us this long to get to school, we are in school at this time, our lunch is at tea. We are very time orientated, and with story points, we're trying to remove that time orientation away and change it into thinking about our knowledge about the work and how complex do we feel the work is. And the other thing is there's a lot of teams that don't even do anchoring or calibration sessions, as I call them. You know, when they first start story pointing, it means jack everything then, because their first set a load of story points for the first couple of, we use Scrum as an example, sprints. You know, they don't know what the story points mean to it. And until you do an anchoring session or a calibration session to get the whole team on board to understand, you know, to kind of agree what's our definition of a 1, 2, 3, or 5, those first couple of sprints or those first couple of sets of estimations mean nothing until you collaborate. There's so many things that need to be implemented when it comes to story pointing, but sometimes it does work beautifully, but it's the business that don't understand it.
So Mark, do you think that people have focused in on story points as a key metric instead of understanding that they're not a metric at all?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you look at certain writers now, Mike Cohen being one of them, right? The title of his book, Agile Estimating and Planning, right? If you'd said that at the manifesto meeting in 2001, they'd have gone, we don't want to do planning, right? We don't want to do planning. There's a bag of washing turns up, we'll sort it out, we'll do the more complex stuff, colors, and we'll have it done by the end of the sprint, right? So, I mean, that's not to say that Mike Cohen's not got a point. We do have to estimate, but it has to be relative to what you've previously done, exactly what Sabrina said. However, there has to be a percentage of discovery added in there that we used to call this contingency. There has to be tickets that include, you know, factors that we don't know. You're right, Sabrina. If I did something at McDonald's, here's a bun, here's my burger, here's my bun, and it takes me 6 minutes to make a hamburger, right? That's fine. We can repeat that all day long. However, if one of my tickets or issues in Jira is a bun that's 14 inches wide and my hamburger is only 6 inches wide and my other bun is 9 inches wide, I need to stitch that together. So although it's still a bun, a burger, and a bun, it has complexity that we haven't factored in.
100%.
I go even further, that I might have a 12 teams all working to the same backlog, right? And they've all estimated. But what happens if John or Mary run off together? What am I going to do then? We don't build enough elasticity within a sprint. We get cobbled together with, well, you should be able to do 3 points a day per person, right? And there's 10 people on your team, so that's 30 a day, right?
No.
And you just think,
that's
who
garbage.
came up with it?
So, you know what, that's the other thing. Whenever I go through and implement story pointing, the first thing I say to leadership and management is, 1, this does not go against them on performance. 2, every team and every person is different for a reason. You never do the comparisons, and everything you're saying to me is a nightmare. It's actually giving me a headache.
Well, look at, I mean, even if you go back to Jeff Sutherland's original book, right? Accurate estimates are impossible unless you've done the same thing 20 times.
With the same people.
With the same people, with the same clothing, on the same weather, etc., etc., etc. Right? But every sprint is different. Okay? So my opening statement about story points is, if they're used correctly in the old ways that we meant, that looks like a small thing, that looks like a medium thing, and this looks like a big thing. That's fine, right? So why people go beyond 13 in the Fibonacci sequence just is beyond me, right?
So I'm going to propose a way to describe this is that story points are useful in the sprint and in the sprint planning. That's it. They are not a metric. They don't tell you anything. So a metric is a common set of mathematical relationships that can be applied evenly across anything. But you can't use that with story points, because story points mean different things to different people in different skill sets. So it's not, I mean, the whole thing about metrics is driving me nuts, because I see it all over the place. People start with metrics in a transformation and then think they can apply it to the end point of the organizational construct, which is garbage, because metrics are emergent.
This is the first time ever in Agile world I'm going to disagree with you, Karl. Right?
That's okay. Disagree to your heart's content.
News, right? I agree with what you're saying, but I also disagree. Some of this you can actually use, and when you do, require to slightly plan ahead. But the highlighted part we should always understand is it's an estimation. Like, if I was drive to you, Karl, I could say I can estimate my drive is going to be around about 2.5 hours long. I don't know what I don't know what's on the road. It's still an estimation. You're not going to expect me at your doorstep. I probably will, because I plan ahead. At your doorstep, exactly 2.5 hours later. It's an estimation.
I'm going to carry on disagreeing with you.
That's fine, Alex.
This is the point. This is the point, though, right? We won't be able to agree on story points, the three of us. We won't, right? Because it is a different thing for different people. That's what we can agree on. Also, I mean, look at Jerry Muller, the Tyranny of Metrics, since you brought it up, Karl, right? They're getting used as sticks to beat delivery teams, right? And it's now putting people off, because your business team will put a deadline, a go live date, right? And then we'll sit with the team and go, right, tell us how long that's going to take. So
that's the whole point of Agile is there isn't a go live date. Agile is a continuous delivery process. What there is a grouping of delivery items that can be used for marketing purposes as a statement of new feature or functionality. So what's happened is we've changed the delivery mechanism, but not changed the terms of reference in the business. So the terms of reference in the business are still, we have deadlines. Well, actually, no, you don't. What you have is a continuous ability to deliver great functionality for your customers. Now you need to work out how you package that against your work.
Correct. And this is the big debate, right? So what I'm suggesting is, and like I said before, Dean Leffingwell and the SAFE guys have now changed from using the word estimation to forecast, right? It's a forecast of my ETA to get something done by this sprint, right? And I think that's both going to frustrate and put off the business world, because they want hard deadlines. They want hard go lives. They want to know, when can I start earning $1 out of this piece of functionality that you've got to give me?
But you can do that with economic ordering already. And instead of delivering it in at the end of 90 days, you can deliver it at the end of the second sprint. The point here is that they don't have the flexible thinking to go around that.
Right.
It's their problem, not dev's problem.
Right. So here's a really interesting thing, right? So some of my teams in the States use TFS and Azure DevOps.
Yeah.
And some of my teams in India and Singapore use Jira. Mm-hmm. Right?
Oh, they do different things.
The similar thing they have, and this is really important, that this is a piece of functionality out of both of those tools that nobody uses, is a dollar value. There's a field in TFS and Azure DevOps and in Jira that you can put a dollar value, and nobody uses it, right? Because what I've said to the business is, why don't you tell me what piece of functionality you want by value? And they go, yeah, but we want it all. It's all must have. Well, you don't, right? And go back to your continuous delivery and deployment. If we thought about that, they would then go, well, just give me the login screen so I can do user management. That'll get me a data list so I can market stuff, right? That's my MVP. That's all I want. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, that'll make me $3 million, right? Let's get that done, right? Then the next bit, well, we need to sell them some products. So let's build that. And that'll be another $5 million. And if you work that way, return on investment every time back to the business, right? The business hand me $6 million, I give them 12, right? And in that way, we've got a good understanding. But if they ask me for 2,500 story points and I don't give them anything, what was the point? What was the point of turning down 2,500 story points with no value and no functionality?
I have a question for you, though. So this is a little bit of a theory that I feel that the reason why story points don't work or we struggle, it goes wrong within a business, is do you think that the link with finances and budgets are also causing an issue with story points? If you think I think that's one big cause. At the end of the day, they've got to deal with finances, they've got to deal with budgets. They still think of things in projects, and even if they think in products, that's still got to be budgeted for. And that's where they can't make the links. And that's
they can't separate from old style projects and programs into lean portfolio management because they haven't set it up.
But they also can't separate the fact that we still have a budget here, and we still need to know when this budget is going to be used up. But we also want to get something for our budget, and this is where everything comes in. I personally feel
you can do that in LPM.
Yes, you can, but most businesses don't have that implemented correctly.
Yep.
So this is where I go further, right? I'm really pleased that we've got business agility being a hot topic for our business colleagues, right? Because I think it's important that they're actually inside the tent pissing out the way and not the other way around, right? So I now have business owners from the areas of the businesses that I deal with. They come and sit with me. They're on stakeholder meetings. They see what we're doing, but they also see the return on investment. I won't do a status report. There's no point, right? Everything's ragged wrongly anyway. It's all subjective. But what I will do is how much money I've given you back, right? Last week, you couldn't do 10,000 customers. I've enabled that. So 10,000 customers at £1,000 a year, is a lot of money. So, but what I wanted to get back to is story points are becoming almost a currency, right? So if I have $1 million, how many story points can I get for it? Right? And I'm
as many as you want. Just give me the million and we'll work it out.
We'll work out later.
See you later.
Do you see what the problem is? That they think that the story point becomes a tangible metric that Karl said, but it also becomes a bartering tool. Well, hey, if I give you 5 more people, can I get 400 new story points?
Oh, I hate that.
This sounds like the thing in the EU about offsetting greenhouse gases, where they bartered away different contingency amounts, which didn't exist. It was a complete fake environment, but people paid millions for these certificates that are worthless.
Yeah, correct. And this is what, again, if I go back to it, one story point does not equal one piece of functionality, right? But what we want is functionality. There's no point in bundling down 6,000 story points and having nothing at the end of it, right?
What we need is functionality that creates a value principle. Now, most businesses think value principle is income. For a lot of businesses who are currently offering stuff online, it should be getting the baseline systems working effectively so your customers don't hate you after using them. So, I mean, it's getting those value principles sorted out would be, again, we've wandered into metrics, but I think, the metrics piece is a shambles.
Yeah,
total and utter shambles at the moment. And actually, with my current client, it's the piece I'm working on.
Oh, we need to write a book.
I'm going to extend my existing book, but probably will write a separate book on how to do agile metrics that actually mean something. But I will give you the insight, which is that it's speed plus quality plus effectiveness is what business is interested in. But you can make really, really quick, bad, ineffectual software. And that's the point. It's I don't care how many story points, which is a capacity question, you use. As a business person, I need it to work. I need to not look bad in front of the board. And I think that's the conversation technology should be having with the business is, what do you really want here? Do you really want a narrow metric that doesn't tell you anything, or do you want to meet your targets? And going back to your return on investment.
Yeah. You're missing something here, though. There's also and I know you didn't mean to, it's a customer as well. Okay. You could deliver something that the business wants, but if it gets out to that customer and it's a crock of,
well, that's what quality is. Quality is a measure of the intent of the business against the desire of a customer.
But, if we go back to the manifesto, right? Working software is everything, right? Yeah. You cannot put a front page up on the web saying, good afternoon to company X. We have burnt down 6,000 story points. Aren't we great? And the customer's going to go, I can't use this. It has no reason to exist, right? Yeah. You've just spent $5 million burning down pointless metrics, as Karl said, with nothing to show for it. So I think the reason why I'm starting to hate story points is it's lost its way, right? When we did relative sizing, T-shirts were always just taken as this is my best effort at telling you how long this is going to take me, right?
It's how story points should be.
Yeah, but they've now morphed into this. Mark can do 20 story points a day, but Karl can only do 8. So therefore, Mark must be better than Karl.
So the system I'm using doesn't use story points that way. The story points persist in Jira, but they don't connect to Rally, which is the work allocation tool. That's the team management level. It doesn't connect that way. They actually persist only in Jira. So they're only for epics and stories and for the teams, so the platform and development teams to understand their work, which I think is the right way to do it, because otherwise it does become in that division they did 6,000 points last month. In that division they did 2. What's gone wrong? Are they all on holiday?
Relativity of what their version of a point is completely different. And
well, it could be if one's mainframe and one's doing customer products, then it's a meaningless conversation anyway.
Just say if you used it between the three of us as an example, right? All of our knowledge and experience is different. Right. Okay. So if we came up with marketing, for an example, Sabrina's ace at marketing. Karl, He's all right at marketing. He's too wordy, right? Doesn't mean that I'm better at it. It means he's not able to do it. I need to put.
I'm getting assessed here, you know that.
She did say she'd get you, so yeah, fuck her up.
But then on another sense, Karl is going to be better at some things than I am. So it doesn't mean that we're not worthy to do the work. And who's to say I can't learn about being really, really wordy like Karl is? You know, I could become the really wordy person, and he could become the one that can't spell. Do you know what? It's different.
Well, that's a really interesting point, right? When we first many years ago talked about cross-functional teams, right? They're supposed to be complementary. So if I have a feature that has front, middle, APIs, back end, those people come round the feature and get the feature out the door, right? We've not even managed to do that yet properly. It is an industry, because we're still loading teams up. 9 front enders, 1 data guy. You think that's going to be light on functionality, but it'll look good. And again, just to come back to your point, yes, your team needs to generate the story points, right? The individual shouldn't be held to you. You should be doing 10 points a week, right? Well, maybe I'll pick up, an issue that's really complex, and it'll take me 5 days. And you might pick up 3 look and feel changes, and you've done 3 tickets and I've only done 1, right? And that looks like you're saying that you're doing more effort than I am.
I could pick up all the easy bad boys, so it looks like I'm doing more, and leave all the complicated stuff to you. But
do you know that happens? Do you know that
happens
really
a lot?
Happens?
Yeah.
Yes, I won't go into specifics, but I've seen teams shine 3,000 story points in a month. Fantastic. And they were all bugs, right? And they were all bugs that big.
Or they break the stories down, or you'll get teams that will create a behavior where there's one issue around breaking stories down anyway, but you'll get some teams that will work it out when they've got the carrot dangled or they're being beaten by a stick, where they will break the stories down into such minute pieces, and then it will story point it quite high. It will then make out that they're doing all of this stuff.
So the system I'm working on at the moment it tries to capture what percentile each team adds to the value that is delivered, because that's actually what we're interested in. We really don't care if you spend 100 years developing a piece of software if it doesn't deliver any value. But if you spend 3 days developing your piece and someone else spends 4 weeks developing their piece, it's about the bit that you've added, not how long you took to do it. So there's an overarching duration of the whole thing, but I don't see how someone's time can really, some of the complexities we're dealing with in some tech systems. Okay, let's deploy an AI on the cloud that will watch out for money laundering. Yeah. Okay, so someone will work out how to do that deployment. Then there'll be someone else that deals with the infrastructure. And there is infrastructure in the cloud for anyone that's listening that thinks there's no infrastructure in the cloud.
It's just someone else's computer.
There's a server somewhere.
We know.
But even the balancing on that, so whatever, all those things, none of it will work unless everyone does their bit. And you don't get any outcomes until everyone does their bit. So who cares on the time?
It's really important that, Karl, that a team has to generate the value, right? It's not an individual, it's not a hero developer, which we get a lot of in teams, right? You get one developer who's absolutely fantastic and everybody just defers to him or her. And that happens in a lot of teams where the hero developer will chime in at planning poker. That would take me 3 points. Yeah, just put 3. And then you get Mark at the back going, that's going to take me a month. That's going to take me a month. But, I don't say anything because it's the hero developer, right?
But if the business cares about still succeeding when Mark's gone, whoever the hero developer is, it decides to leave for a higher salary, then they need to actually make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to do the difficult bits. That's how you learn. That's how you evolve.
I have a technique when this happens, because my husband is the hero developer, and I tell him that. He
I
does
should get
this
him a
now.
hat.
He's gonna kill me. Hopefully he doesn't see this video. I might maybe not.
I'll send it to him.
Right. But he does this where the people are struggling, and then Rob will, I should have said his name, will basically come in and save the day, work through the whole entire night, and then get it sorted. But for people like my husband, all right, when I notice there's someone like that, I'm actually quite naughty, and I purposely ask them to point last. Wait for everyone else to put their, if we're using planning and poker, let everyone else put their cards in, and then let them do it afterwards. Because you're right, those ones that are very, very experienced, you know, senior or tech lead level, they can influence the team, and you don't want them influencing. So I actually get them to come up last, and I always say your card will come up last. Then we create the conversation.
So what do we do to solve this problem?
Exactly.
Well, I that's the thing. I don't think we've got an answer right now, right?
Fair enough.
I think everybody has a view, and that's why I wanted to start this conversation, right? Because I'm getting frustrated by us not having an open conversation. Every methodology that the three of us know, right, all the way from SAFe through to Scrum, Kanban, Scrumban, whatever. But you've just, Sabrina, you just reminded me about something. Many years ago, I was a senior project manager for a high street bank, and the game that we used to play on estimation was that all my developers would add 20% effort, and I would take away 20% effort. and that's what's happening now. You just reminded me when you were saying about story pointing, right? A developer will look me in the eye and go, "That's an 8-pointer," and I'm going, "It's not." But you're hoping to bum down twice the amount of effort, right? and that still goes on. And I've been at this game for nearly 30 years in technology, 10 as a chef. But that happens all the time, right? You'll get a developer going, "He's expecting me to burn all this down in a week. I'm going to double the points, and I'll look great," right? So you need to watch out for that. That really is an important point. And that is exactly many years ago. I would sit with the development team and go, "Okay, how long is this going to take?" And they would say 3 days, and I'd go, "It's 2 days, isn't it?" And they go, "Yeah, we added on a day." And I that's a game that we'll play forever.
You get your Scrum Master, you build the trust with your Scrum Master. Your Scrum Master's always there to protect you. But I think one way that story pointing can be fixed is, me personally, I don't think the process is wrong, but I do think the way it's being implemented and the way the business sees it is incorrect. It shouldn't just be implemented within the teams. When you're implementing story points, yes, okay, you coached a team on how to implement it and you go through that process. But normally Agile coaches will stop there, but it's not. The business need to understand it. You need to bring finance in, you need to bring the business in, you need to bring leadership in, and you need to bring stakeholders in. And they all need to receive the same coaching and training. They all need to understand the theory about it. They all need to also understand you don't use it for performance reviews. You do not use it on a particular person. I told you I was going to go off on one here, right? Everybody, this is passionate, Sabrina. Everybody needs to understand it. And
so
I'm
going to add to your list.
Yes, add.
Lawyers, because dealing with legal frameworks and timelines, and marketing people, and it's usually the marketing people who set the deadlines, because they've got a marketing calendar, and they're gonna force the business to comply with their marketing calendar.
Did I ever tell you my story? In 1999, 2000. I was responsible for the second internet bank in the UK, and Nationwide had got there before us, right? So I can mention their name, but not the bank that I was working with. And I was sat at home, and Sunday evening, ready to go to work on Monday morning, and an advert for my bank came on the TV. And the advert is very famous. It's still on YouTube. It's about 3 brothers. And it goes along the lines of, Peter walks into his branch and he likes to be friendly with the staff. John, he does telephone banking. And Frank, he does it on the web. And I swore at the TV and went, no, he doesn't, because I haven't built it yet.
I believe that's called seeding the market.
Well, yes, the first meeting the next day, funny enough, was with the marketing lead. And I went, why have you put that out? And this is genuine. He went, that's just to get piqued interest. So I thought, right, that's fair enough. 2 hours later, I'm in the director of technology's office. The branch managers had been inundated with people going, how do I get on this new Webby thing? Can we get that? And they're going, no, we haven't built it yet. Well, right. And that's your point about bringing everybody in and being business agile as well as technical agile. But
do you know what? This is so common. I mean, do you know what? I don't think I could pass one agilist or one delivery person, or actually anybody who works in our industry, past one person who has not experienced that situation where they've gone and someone's gone far too excited and gone, ooh, push the button. And it's out, and then everyone else has to basically rush, and it's actually a crock of, this is a word I'm saying a lot, a crock of that ends up getting released because everyone's had to rush to get it done because somebody pressed
there is a precedent, you know, or a president that did something similar. Didn't he say we will go to the moon? And at that point, NASA didn't even have a working rocket.
Yeah, exactly.
And they came back. That wasn't Apollo 13, was it? Oh no, they haven't had a rocket yet. No, sorry, Sabrina got.
So to answer your question, Karl, I just want to start the debate, or rather, the debate has started, right? Like I say, people like Mr. Goldstein, Jeff Sutherland, Mr. Cohen, we need something else, right? We need something else that doesn't become a contract in blood.
Yeah.
That says Mark will do 25 story points a day. It has to get back to being a forecast. It has to go back to being an estimate. It has to go back to being continuously delivered, right? Let's not have these big bang releases again. Because the business will start to launch something, and this is all businesses, and it becomes a go live. And now the closer you get to that go live, as your complexity grows, because it does, you're finding out more, you're going to miss it. And if you commit to that, your business is not going to make, you know, and this is every business. This is not just in financial services, or it's exactly what you said. If marketing get ahead and start to put pressure back the way onto the delivery teams, that's going to be a clash. But for a different way of working, it's got to change.
So I think there's two things that need to change. One, we need to change how finance works before starting a transformation, i.e. to have lean portfolio management as a way of working already. It's an optional way of working, but it's already understood and planned. I think that's really essential, because when you then align that to a delivery mechanism, anyone that wants to engage with that delivery mechanism has to understand the lean portfolio piece, which means that marketing and business people need to comply with it as well.
Yeah,
because they can't then set deadlines around a continuous delivery function because the funding doesn't allow it.
Well, look at the example. Again, this is general. If you've got anything facing the web and customers, right, you have to have legal T's and C's on it, right? So if your delivery team are working within a methodology that calls itself Agile, and they're working, you know, just like a legal team, you will deliver your software and it'll take 6 months for legal to sign it off.
Yeah.
So if you don't include that legal person in that delivery team, you're going to have that big gap of software launch, right? And that's why, I mean, I'm all in favor of, when I call it a cross-functional team, I mean it's a cross-functional team. Legal's in there, marketing's in there, delivery's in there, security's in there, DevOps is in there. And yes, sometimes somebody is sat waiting, right? They are.
Or it's a light touch engagement. They're not there full time. You know, they may be light touch with 20 different pieces of work that's in flight.
Yeah.
But at least they know and they can act upon it when they need to.
And that's the problem. Some businesses will work in a truly agile way. I mean, look at some of the major HR initiatives right now. They're trying to work agile. They're trying to have people,
Yeah, but none of the software supports agile. I got interviewed about HR software, and it's still based on a person in a physical location.
Yeah,
with a primary skill set. When we're supposed to be, we went from T-shaped people to X-shaped people to I don't know what. Well, maybe we're banana-shaped people now, for all I know. But the point is that you can't ask for flexibility in working practices of people, yet not give them the support mechanism in HR. And HR still thinks that you are a person in a location with one skill.
No, I read an article recently. I'd been on a job about 3 years ago. And it's 56 days on average from request being raised to somebody sitting in the seat. And that's just an industry report that says, if you want somebody, plan 3 months ahead for them. Well, that doesn't sound very agile to me, right?
No.
That sounds the opposite of agile. No, I want to.
It's because of all these notice periods that's been set. Most people's notice period is 3 months. They've done that as protection.
Well, but I think as we move to more of a flexible working practice where more people are contracting in some way, even if it is through IR35, that's 4 weeks. You can just walk.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that this will, widen out to our audience and your audience particularly. But we need to come up with something that satisfies the business need, right? And I go back to the same thing. It should be dollar value. It should be, you asked me to produce value, and I did. Here's $15 you didn't have yesterday. Tomorrow I'll give you another $20, and the next day I'll give you $50. But to give you 3 story points a day that has no value.
Yeah, it's a meaningless thing. It's like depending on Bitcoin for your future.
It's creating a really bad behavior, because you do that, you lose trust, people start over exaggerating. It just creates a bad behavior, and it's not needed.
Very, very much so. And that's what we're starting to see, right? We are starting to see that old game of call it 8 points and it's only 3, right? So that I look great and I'm burning down more than I said I would. But is the general question, why are we still planning, right? I thought we wanted to get away from planning. I thought we wanted to get away from estimations. I thought we wanted to get away from those old ways of working. And I think we've almost come back full circle where we've now included the business, which we have done. When the team went to Snowbird, it was because they were raising 2 years worth of requirements, giving it to us. We went away for 2 years, came back, and they had gone, right? So that's what we wanted to stop. But now we're involving them more. It's becoming like a contract, right? And I think that's why your Bitcoin CFT mentality is happening, right? I'm giving you $1,000. I want 5 story points, right? Okay, let's do that job. But I've got my 3,000 story points. Where's my application? Oh, no, that wasn't included. I've just given you 3,000 story points, right? And then they go, yeah, but I haven't got any working software. Ah, right. Oh, okay. Well, that'll cost you more. So I just think that if we start having this conversation, it'll come out and certainly in the influence that you guys have got, it has to be discussed and it has to be better. Because I'm finding that teams are breaking because they're not hitting a goal. And it's not the goal of have a feature they didn't have. It's a goal of 50 story points a week. And that's got to stop.
Mark, you've now started a revolution. And I just want to say to our viewers,
Viva la revolution.
Watch this space, because Agile World is going to bring something new to you soon. So thank you very much for this, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
It's been great as always, you two.
We will see you again soon.
Oh, I look forward to it. Bye, you two.
Bye.